Welcome back to Confession Stories, the venue for the most intriguing narratives. Ensure you subscribe to get updated on our latest narratives. My name is Oliver. I am 25 years old and employed as a software developer at a small technology firm located on the outskirts of the city. I have maintained a friendship with Lucas since college, and we have remained close throughout the years. Today's narrative pertains to an unforeseen day that transformed everything for myself and his family. Lucas and I have been acquainted for years, although I have consistently been attracted to his mother, Ava. Her warmth and vitality are compelling. During my visits, I frequently found myself conversing with her more than with Lucas. She is affable, appreciates my humor, and, to be candid, she is attractive. Her magnetic allure was impossible to overlook, prompting me to surprise Lucas with a visit on my day off. I acted impulsively, seizing my keys and driving over without prior notification. I anticipated it would be an enjoyable, impromptu reunion. Upon my arrival, Lucas was absent. Nevertheless, Ava greeted me at the door with a look of astonishment. Upon seeing me, she greeted me with warmth and laughter. Gently, as she beckoned me in, she remarked, "Well, this is unexpected," accompanied by her characteristic smile. Lucas did not reference you. I smiled and massaged the nape of my neck as they approached. I intended to astonish him. I responded, prompting her to laugh and move aside. "Although he is absent, you are permitted to remain till his return." At that moment, a torrential thunderstorm commenced, abruptly complicating departure. Ava looked out the window, arched an eyebrow, and then turned back to me. "In this weather, you are undoubtedly not going anywhere," she remarked, her smile broadening. "It appears you must remain for an extended duration." She nodded, inwardly pleased by the pretext to remain, and guided me to the living room where we took our seats. The sound of the rain fostered a serene, intimate ambiance while we conversed. I increasingly appreciated Ava's presence as she brought me a warm cup of tea while the rain pounded against the windows. Seated in the comfortable living room, we discussed professional life and naturally touched upon Lucas's gentle and engaging chuckle, creating a sense of belonging. Occasionally, our gazes would intersect, remaining slightly longer than customary, and I sensed a delicate spark between us during our conversation. She reclined on her chair nonchalantly, crossing her legs. I observed her poised and assured posture. She was 50 years old. Indeed, there existed an element of timelessness. Her essence, vitality, and grin exuded a youthful charm that grabbed me. I attempted to conceal it, but I believe she perceived it, as her eyes sparkled with amusement any time I glanced in her direction. Oliver, with a teasing smirk, interrupted my contemplation, stating, "You seem rather quiet tonight." Surprised and unprepared, I stammered and chuckled nervously, as I did not anticipate being in this situation, just the two of us. She inclined her head. Her glance was inviting and playful. "It is a pleasant surprise," she remarked gently. "Lucas is seldom present lately, and it is pleasant to have companionship." Her statements were nonchalant, although the warmth in her tone accelerated my pulse as our conversation progressed. Subsequently, the dialogue became more intimate. She recounted narratives of her childhood aspirations and the transformations her life had seen over the years. Became utterly captivated, absorbing every word as time elapsed. The storm outside intensified, exhibiting little indication of abating. Ava observed the clock, then turned to me with a contemplative smile. "It appears that the weather will not improve in the near future." She stated that it is raining heavily outside. I nodded while looking out the window. "Due to the excessive rain, I believe I will be unable to return home tonight." She acquiesced, her tone gentle in comprehension. "You are welcome to remain here if you choose." Lucas's room is located down the hallway. I smiled, appreciative yet conscious of the exhilaration surging within me. "Thank you, Ava. I would greatly appreciate it." She momentarily vanished and reappeared with additional blankets, placing them on the couch beside me. Our hands grazed as she passed them to me, eliciting a wave of warmth that compelled me to gaze up at her. She maintained eye contact, her demeanor gentle and welcoming, and for an instant, the external world appeared to diminish. She remarked, "You know," in a subdued tone, "I have always regarded you as a delightful young man, and now that you are present, it has been quite pleasant conversing with just the two of us." My heart accelerated. "I share the same sentiment, Ava." I responded that the atmosphere between us was dense. She gazed at me, her eyes probing mine, and gradually leaned closer. I sensed her warmth. The delicate aroma of her perfume permeated the air between us, and I realized in that instant that this was a memory I would always cherish. She maintained my look for an extended while, revealing warmth in her eyes. Subsequently, without averting her gaze, she extended her hand and delicately swept a stray strand of hair from my forehead, her fingers lingering longer than needed. My breath was momentarily halted as her contact elicited a sensation within me, prompting me to reflexively lean into her hand. "Oliver." She murmured gently, nearly a sigh. The words hung in the air, and in that moment, I could no longer restrain myself. Moving closer, I gently grasped her hand. Her skin was warm and soft, and she did not withdraw. Instead, she leaned in, her lips slightly parted as if inviting me nearer. With my heart racing, I leaned forward and tentatively brushed my lips against hers. She responded with a tender and warm kiss, her hand resting gently on my cheek. We paused momentarily, and when our eyes met again, there was no hesitation. I wrapped my arm around her, drawing her closer as our kiss deepened, a passion that had been building throughout the evening. She sighed softly against my lips, her hand moving to the back of my neck, pulling me in as if she too had been anticipating this moment. Her touch elicited a spark within me, prompting my fingers to trace the contour of her waist, experiencing her warmth beneath my hand. Gradually, she retracted, her eyes shimmering. With a mischievous sparkle, she murmured, "I never anticipated this would occur. It has occurred, and now we are both aware." I smiled and nodded, acknowledging the direction of the conversation. I'm glad the rain continued to be poor outside, but inside everything felt warm and close. She leaned back into the couch, pulling me with her, and I wrapped my arms around her, holding her close. Her fingers traced patterns along my back, each touch sparking new warmth between us. Our lips met again, this time deeper, more intimate. Her hands explored her warmth, inviting me as if she had been waiting for this moment just as much as I had her fingers slide down my arms. Her touch was light and teasing, and I couldn't help but smile against her lips. She looked at me with the same warmth in her eyes, her fingers resting against my chest, as if feeling my heart race beneath her touch. I leaned down, kissing her neck, letting my lips linger as I felt her shiver against me. Each moment felt timeless, and I lost myself in the warmth of her embrace, our hearts beating together as the rain poured down outside. She sighed softly, arching slightly so my hand could find the curve of her waist, a perfect fit beneath my touch. Encouraged by her response, I let my hand lie, slowly tracing the outline of her back, feeling the warmth through the thin fabric of her sweater. She let out a quiet murmur, her hand coming to rest on my shoulder, pulling me closer. Her warmth enveloped me, and the feeling was magnetic. I couldn't help but lean down, brushing my lips along the side of her neck, savoring the softness of her skin and the way she shivered. Tilting her head to the side to invite me further, I pressed against her, slowly making her respond more intensely, and slowly tried to slip my hands inside her sweater. It felt amazing to feel her softness, and it made me more energized. I couldn't hold back any longer to explore her more. Our eyes locked, and there was a shared understanding between us. I leaned in again, kissing her deeply, savoring each moment my hand found her hip, and I felt her pulse quicken beneath my touch. She seemed to relax completely against me, her body mold holding to mine as I held her close, every touch now feeling more natural, more connected. She looked at me, her eyes warm and full of emotions. We couldn't quite express them with a soft smile. She leaned back into the couch, guiding my hand to her shoulder, her fingers lacing through mine. I let my other hand slide down her, feeling the warmth beneath my palm as I stroked her thigh. Softly, the closeness between us was undeniable, and our kisses slowed, savoring each moment as our connection deepened, making me lose track of everything but the feeling of her in my arms as we pulled apart, breathless and dazed. The world outside had transformed. The rain continued to pour, casting a muted ambiance that wrapped us in our own little world. I could see the flush in her cheeks, the way her lips glistened from our kisses, igniting a spark of desire deep within me I had never felt. A primal connection compelled me to draw nearer to her, prompting deeper exploration. Perhaps we should advance this. She suggested we move to a more comfortable location, her voice low and inviting, tinged with mischief. I could only nod, a rush of exhilaration enveloping me as she guided me down the dimly lit hallway toward her bedroom. The door creaked open, revealing a space that felt both intimate and welcoming, softly illuminated by the warm glow of a lamp. The room was tastefully furnished, yet it was her presence that truly animated it. She turned to face me, her gaze steady and charged with energy, the air between us thick with anticipation as the door clicked shut behind us, the sound resonating in the silence and intensifying the moment. I stepped closer, irresistibly drawn to her, my heart racing as she moved toward me, prompting me to reach for her hand. As we intertwined our fingers, the warmth of her skin transmitted an electrifying sensation through me. With a delicate tug, I drew her closer, my other hand grazing her waist, experiencing the softness of her body against mine as she gazed upward. She gazed at me, her eyes glimmering with longing and playfulness, and I sensed my determination falter as I bent down, seizing her lips again. The kiss intensified, growing more fervent as I drew her closer, our bodies aligning seamlessly. I sensed her warmth enveloping me, each kiss transmitting electric sensations through my veins, her hands gliding up my arms, outlining the muscles before intertwining in my hair, drawing me nearer and compelling me to delve deeper. Upon breaking the kiss, I gazed into her eyes, perceiving the reflection of the fervor and intensity we had kindled within one another. I placed my forehead to hers, relishing the moment, experiencing both exhilaration and vulnerability. "Are you certain?" I muttered about this, my voice almost audible. Her response manifested as a gentle grin, accompanied by a nod, her gaze fixed upon mine. "I have never been more certain of anything," she responded, her tone unwavering and imbued with affection. With that assurance, I leaned down once more, catching her lips. This time, I stepped back, delicately easing her onto the bed. The mattress was soft and inviting, and as she descended into it, I loomed above her. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as I leisurely kissed her neck and collarbone, relishing each second while sensing her body tremble under my touch. Her fingers glided across my back, prompting me to continue as I examined her gradually, relishing each gasp and groan that emerged from her lips. I halted momentarily. As I gazed down at her, mirroring the longing and trust reflected in her eyes, I was rendered breathless. I leaned in closer, our bodies aligning perfectly as I pressed against her. My hand brushed her thigh in a soft yet possessive manner, eliciting a shiver from both of us while the rain continued to pummel the window. I became enraptured by her, the external world dissipating, and I moved with fervor, driven by our connection. Each kiss and touch delved into the depths of our desires, our bodies synchronizing in the rhythm of passion. A profound sense of fulfillment enveloped me as each moment drew us nearer. The night unfolded with whispered laughter and gasps of pleasure as we surrendered completely to one another. The boundaries of our friendship blurred, replaced by something deeper, wilder, and more beautiful, an experience I had never envisioned. Each moment intensified our intimacy, ultimately yielding to the encroachment of exhaustion. I reclined next to her, my arm enveloping her shoulders in a protective manner. We were both breathless, our exhales intertwining as we absorbed the consequences of our union. Her fingers delicately traced patterns on my chest, prompting me to lean down and gently kiss her forehead, relishing the warmth of her body on mine. "This evening was extraordinary," I whispered, my heart brimming with emotions I could not precisely identify. She oriented herself towards me, a gentle grin on her lips. She responded, her eyes glimmering with satisfaction and a trace of mischief. I believe I could acclimate to this. As we succumbed to a tranquil slumber, the rain outside began to diminish, yet our hearts remained entwined, irrevocably transformed by this unforeseen night of passion. I realized then that this was merely the inception of something extraordinary, a narrative interwoven with strands of desire, fervor, camaraderie, and newfound love. We lay entwined in each other's embrace, reveling in the aftermath of our ardor, while the external world gradually resumed its normalcy. The rain had subsided, and the rhythmic patter against the window provided a soothing backdrop to our murmured conversations and gentle laughter. Just as I was on the verge of drifting into sleep, the abrupt ring of the doorbell startled me awake. I halted, my heart racing as I looked at her. A blend of astonishment and fear was evident in her eyes. The gravity of the situation enveloped us. Her son, my friend, was home. "Is that the individual?" she commenced, her voice scarcely audible. "Yes, it is he," I responded, my thoughts in turmoil. We hastily endeavored to compose ourselves, although the tumultuous rustling of linens and garments exacerbated the disorder. The doorbell rang again, this time with greater urgency, causing my pulse to race. "Swiftly, conceal yourself," she implored, her eyes wide with urgency. Surveyed the room, urgently seeking an exit. Instinctively, I plunged inside the closet, bracing myself against the wall, my heart racing in my ears. I inhaled deeply, attempting to discern the unfolding events. "Mother, are you at home? I am situated outside the bedroom," I heard my friend exclaim, his voice reverberating throughout the house. He remarked that he anticipated finding me here. She entered the living room, her manner transitioning from frantic to composed. "Yes, I am here," she responded, her voice unwavering. Despite the turmoil within her, I observed her from the rear of the closet door, standing upright, her countenance revealing nothing. I was compelled to admire her composure on such a trying occasion. "Were you ensnared by the tempest?" he inquired. Upon entering, oblivious to the ambiance within the residence, I inhaled deeply, yearning to glimpse his expression, pondering the extent of his awareness. "It was merely a little shower," she responded, a trace of anxiety infiltrating her tone. "However, I am well. What was the nature of your day?" "It was enjoyable. I anticipated that we could spend time together." He enthusiastically announced that he had procured some munchies from the supermarket. I couldn't suppress a chuckle, entertained by the ordinariness of his statements, juxtaposed with the gravity of recent events. "Please hold on a moment," she remarked, casting a glance toward the bedroom door as if perceiving my presence. I suspended my breath, anticipating the subsequent events. Would she extend an invitation for him to enter? Would he perceive anything unusual? "Indeed, I shall arrive shortly," she stated. As she turned from the door and approached me, I discerned the resolve in her gaze, a steadfast determination to seize this moment without haste. "Attire oneself," she whispered fervently, her heart pumping. As quickly as I could, I donned my attire, attempting to calm my tumultuous thoughts. I could hear my friend shifting in the living room, the sound of bags crinkling as he searched through them. "Do you believe he is aware?" I inquired softly. "Panic?" With a tremor in her voice, she responded, "No, he cannot," while biting her lip, an amalgamation of exhilaration and trepidation on her visage. "Confront the situation, behave ordinarily, and we will devise a solution." After exchanging one final gaze, we prepared ourselves for the re-entry into reality. I emerged from the closet, my heart racing, and entered the living room just as my friend turned to us with a broad smile. "Here you are? I began to suspect you were evading me." He chuckled, entirely unaware of the palpable tension in the atmosphere. She responded calmly, indicating that she was merely organizing a few items. Casting a gaze that spoke much as we immersed ourselves in the evening, laughter permeating the room, concealing the underlying tension and unsaid sentiments between us. My heart raced, the recollection of our ardor persisting in my thoughts. It was a precarious equilibrium between camaraderie and burgeoning emotions. Yet, in that instant, enveloped by the warmth of our bond and the exhilaration of recent events, I recognized one undeniable truth. This was merely the inception of a complex, exquisite narrative that neither of us could have foreseen.